What is going on, everybody? I am your host, Slackerz, bringing you another episode of Do They Have a Chance for SMASH Ultimate DLC. So think of it, if you haven't seen it before, this little series, think of it basically as like a rate their chances sort of series. I did this last summer and I had a blast doing it, and kind of doing it again, but for characters that could potentially be DLC for SMASH Ultimate. So basically, I'll give you a few facts. We'll kind of go over the legit chance that they might have for a DLC character. So today's character is going to be Sylux from the Metroid Prime series. And, the question is, does Sylux have a chance? Let's jump into it. So first up, who is Sylux? Where's Sylux from? Like I said, Sylux is from the Metroid Prime series. So Sylux is a blue-suited bounty hunter from the... Wow, I spelled Metroid wrong. But from the Metroid Prime series, and is arguably the most popular amongst the bounty hunters. I guess, not including Samus. Some people include Samus in that, but no, from the Metroid Prime Hunters game, we'll say, those, what is it, was it 6 or 7 hunters in that game? Sylux is practically the most popular from the from those hunters, and I think Sylux actually has a pretty, decent following in terms of fan base, and kind of popular. We'll talk about popular in just a second, but Sylux is definitely a character from the Metroid franchise that if Metroid were to get another rep through the means of DLC, Sylux probably has to be one of the top contenders, if not the top contender from the series. So, yeah, I think Sylux definitely has a decent chance, but let's move on here. So we all know that Metroid Prime 4 was in development. They showed it a couple years ago at E3, just a brief little teaser. Got the fans super excited. They've been asking for a new Metroid Prime game in the series for so long. Nintendo finally listened to us, and we're so excited. But recently, what was that, back in January or February, just a couple months back, they came out and said that they basically have to restart the entire development process for Metroid Prime 4 because they weren't happy with the way that it was going. And while it is a big blow to any fans that were looking forward to the game possibly coming out maybe this year, maybe sometime next year, sadly that's not going to happen now, but still big props to Nintendo for being able to come out and be like, we're not happy with this game, we want to do the game right by the fans, and just props to Nintendo for that. So, yeah, it sucks that games get delayed or pushed back or whatever, but hey, Nintendo's got the best interest of the fans at heart, so ultimately that's what matters. But, so, fact number 2. So, with Metroid Prime 4 in development, even though it got pushed back, still in development, Sylux was noted to be having a big role in that game, and I believe it was Metroid Prime, was it Federation Force at the very end, is what the Nintendo 3DS game. Sylux is presumed to be Sylux sneaking into this place. Was it stealing a Metroid or something like that? Didn't play the game, but had something like that. So it seemed to kind of potentially foreshadow Sylux, I don't know, having a bigger role in the future for the Metroid Prime series, and I think that could be a hint. And I'm pretty sure that one of the developers or somebody working on the game did come out and say Sylux is going to have a big role. We'll possibly get to know the backstory about this character, because we actually don't know too much about the character. We don't even know the character's gender for all that. I mean, there's very little known about this character, so they could do a lot, exploring the whole backstory, the Sylux's path, all that stuff. So that would be pretty unique. Not saying Sylux would be like the main villain, but could definitely be quite a big character throughout the entire story for Metroid Prime 4. I'd love to see that. So, again, that could have changed, when they, Sylux having a big role in the upcoming game. That could have changed when they restarted development. I don't think it did, because Sylux is definitely one of the most popular, like I was just saying, one of the more popular, if not the most popular, from the Metroid Prime hunters themselves. So if the plan was to kind of introduce Sylux in a big way and have him as a big role, I don't think they'd scrap that, especially if they kind of came out and said that was going to happen, so I still think Sylux will have a role in the upcoming Metroid Prime 4 game. So yeah, hopefully, this time around development goes much better and much smoother for him. So let's move on to fact number 3. Now, this is kind of going over moveset potential. So yeah, Yeah, this is basically a Sylux trophy from one of the Smash games. I just took that picture. But so basically, moveset, it would be revolved around Sylux using this, where is it? The Shock Coil. So it's an experimental Federation-made weapon that continually drains energy from their opponents and powers up Sylux itself, which actually would be, yeah, there you go. Actually would be a pretty unique sort of moveset. Now, I'm not saying the entire moveset's revolved around that, but having a few moves that could, you know, I guess it'd be kind of like a healing sort of move, you know. You attack your enemy with it, and then you start gaining a little bit of health back, similar to maybe Robin's Nosferatu, or like Wario, like when he chomps down on you and he bites you or whatever, he kind of gets a little bit of health back. So I'd say something similar in effect to that for maybe one or a few of Sylux's moves potentially. But another thing, what was this thing called? The Lockjaw. It's like a little form Sylux can transform into, and kind of would fly around. It would be actually a bit faster than Sylux, the character itself. So think of it maybe like a side special, kind of just dashes forward a bit. And it could drop out these little bombs, similar to Samus's down special. Something like that, drops these little bombs. They explode after, you know, set time or whatever, dealing a little bit of damage. But Sylux would be just a bit faster. Now, I don't know if it'd just be kind of like a, you know, just a side B and you just kind of like zoom across the stage, or if you'd be able to kind of control it. I think that would be a pretty unique aspect as well. So Sylux would transform into this thing called the Lockjaw. Just think of it like this. And would just kind of fly around the stage. You could control it while it's in, you know, side B, but you'd have to press, you know, side B or side special again to get out of the form. So I think that'd be pretty cool, kind of a different take on a side special move. But yeah, and then I believe, what is the ship? The Delano 7, if I'm not mistaken, could be used for the final smash. Pretty similar to maybe like a Samus, or not Samus, but like maybe more like a Snake, where flies in the ship, little cinematic cutscene. You know, quick and right to the point, pretty much like every Final Smash is now, but gets in the ship, flies around, fires off a bunch of missiles at whoever, you know, happens to get caught in the Final Smash, deals a pretty good amount of damage and knockback, because it's a Final Smash. But yeah, there you go. I think moveset is pretty easy to come up with for Sylux. So yeah, so let's move on. So, well, again, there's always the topics, you know, the three big ones when you talk about a new character. Do they have potential in moveset? Are they relevant? And are they popular? For me, we just went over moveset. I think that's very easy to come up with. If anybody's ever played the Metroid Prime Hunters game or knows anything about them, just taken from from the Metroid Prime Hunters game is very easy. Moveset, we just kind of went over it briefly in the last slide, obviously, but pretty easy to do. So moveset, check. Relevant, it's in an upcoming game being developed for the Switch. Relevant, check. Now, popular amongst gaming fans, I left that one blank because it has only appeared in one, if you want to count Metroid Prime Federation Force. Or is it Metroid Prime Federation Force or Metroid Federation, whatever it is, the Federation Force game. If you want to count that too, maybe it's 2 appearances, but I'd say popularity you could leave unchecked, just in terms of the, you know, grand scheme of things. Chances are, you know, if Nintendo were to reveal Sylux as a character, there's going to be a lot of characters or a lot of people that will be like, never heard of Sylux, no idea who it is. So I left popular unchecked in this one. So still 2 out of 3, pretty good for Sylux, but yeah, you can't, not all characters are, you know, got a moveset relevant and popular. So let's move on to fact number 5. Now, this was an interesting point that was brought up once Smash Ultimate came out about the spirits, because there's a ton of spirits. There's like over 1,300 spirits right now, aren't there? Something crazy like that. So, interestingly enough, and there's quite a bit from the Metroid series itself in terms of spirits, and, you know, for primary, for support, for fighter spirits, all that sort of stuff. So, interestingly enough, Sylux does not have a spirit in Smash Ultimate. Now, why not, right? Because I believe there's only 2, actually. First, everyone was saying every other Metroid Prime Hunter has a spirit, but I looked it up and I only seen there's only 2 Metroid Prime Hunters that have spirits. Who are they? Trace and Candid. Those are the only ones that I found evidence for. So if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. But I believe the only 2 hunters that actually have spirits are Trace and Candid. Now, why would you pick those 2 when Nintendo knows that Sylux is the most popular one. So it brings up a good point. So if Nintendo knows that Sylux is popular amongst the fans and, you know, probably the favorite of all the Metroid Prime hunters, maybe they were saving Sylux's spirit to go along with Sylux if they were to introduce the character as a DLC character. I think it makes pretty good sense because back in, what was it, like mid-November, late November, something like that, it came out that Nintendo is the one that picked all the DLC this time around. And at that point, you know, Metroid Prime had yet to get restarted, so they could have known Sylux's role in the upcoming game, and they could have said, hey, we'll save Sylux, we'll promote one of our own games through our own DLC in Smash. It should help generate some talk about Sylux, the character. Should help generate a little bit of buzz about Metroid Prime 4 as well. So, you know, just a first-party game that they and character that they can promote themselves pretty easily. So, yeah, the point, just the fact that Sylux doesn't have a spirit is pretty interesting. I found that very peculiar. But let's just move on to the final one. So, what does Sylux have for a chance? Well, you can see on the screen. I'm voting 30% now. I think Sylux could have been in the running for sure, but when Reggie said at the Video Game Awards to kind of think outside the box, I really think he was kind of implying that they're going to go the route of characters that they've never, you know, people would never even think to kind of bring into Smash Bros. Now, I get Sylux, like we were saying, he's somewhat popular. I think Sylux has a chance, and, you know, promoting it, Nintendo promoting their own character also makes a ton of sense, but I think if Nintendo really wanted to continue the DLC for Smash Bros. For quite some time, because what is it supposed to be, February 2020 or something like that is when the projected end date for all the DLC is supposed to happen. At least Fighter Pass 1 is supposed to end. I don't know. I just think that they might be going a bit more third-party route. I do hope that they kind of throw in maybe one or two first-party characters. I think that'd make more fans happy, because there's still tons of first-party characters that would be well-deserved to have a spot in Smash Ultimate as a DLC character, or even on the base roster. But, well, base roster's already decided, so in this case, for DLC. But for me, Sylux, I think, still in the talking, you know, would have a chance for DLC. Because, again, if Nintendo knew about the DLC, or if they picked the DLC knowing, you know, that possibly the time frame when Metroid Prime 4 could come out, they could have sort of tied the two in together. Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. Oh, yeah, Sylux is going to be the new DLC character in Smash Ultimate. They could, you know, tie the two together. So I think it makes a lot of sense, but I still think Sylux's chances are still a bit low, but they're alright. So I'm giving 30%. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments for Sylux. Do you believe Nintendo might have changed their minds on the character? It's always a possibility, right? Because they haven't I'm pretty sure they haven't started development on all 5 characters for the Fighter Pass. We know Joker and most likely the second character for sure. Potentially whoever the third character could be. They started all that sort of development. But in this case, yeah, 30%. That's what I'm giving them. So let me know what you guys got down in the comments. Let me just give you a percentage for a chance. And if you want to see any other certain characters for me to go over, leave your thoughts and opinions down there, and I'll read them. And maybe I get to your character one day. But that is it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.